Hey guys, new comics bitches. We're in part 4 of new comics bitches. So we're going to bowl right here. We're coming. Thanks for sticking with me for we're gonna be an hour and 15 minutes. I'm trying to make these things shorter, but I just can't do it. I just can't bring myself to do it because I've got a lot to say about each issue that I read each week. So not always, but most weeks. Very close to the top, for many reasons, is Morning Glories number 14. Again, Ian, thank you for turning me on to this series. If I didn't, even if I hadn't heard about it, in other places like on Twitter and so on and so forth, this would still be really, really fantastic. But what we've got going on here is, we've got more questions, we've got more intrigue, we've got more mystery, but again, it's the characters that make the book live and that make you want to come back. With this new kind of wild card with Miss Hodge, and basically that her and Headmistress seem to at least be sisters, perhaps. But this whole thing with the birthdays, this whole thing with, this whole thing with Zoe. I mean, Zoe, just wow. I mean, there, you see that, okay, that she is kind of a wounded animal in this series, but she is, but she takes that and she goes into, this kind of alpha bitch mode. When she feels wounded, it's more of like, you know what, fuck this, I'm not going to be this right now. I'm going to be, super, it's like super bitch. It's like that's her power, is, her ability to be, to flip that switch and just be a total bitch. It's a bitch switch. See what I did there? Okay, and I like how one of the things I also really thought was really cool about this issue is how they literally are going back to the previous issue, to number 13, and showing events that took place there, and painting a new perspective of how they took place, which is basically, at first we saw Hunter, and now we're seeing, we saw Hunter and his reaction, the whole thing, the kind of the aftermath of Casey, putting him in the friend zone and then bumping into Zoe and him saying all that shit to her, and now it's Zoe's turn to, to go from here. But the, all the stuff that's happening in the past here, and, so on and so forth. I mean, it's just, it's really interesting. I don't know if this was intentional or anything at all, but Joe Eisma, who does fantastic art as always, I don't know if he meant to draw the kind of old, the old Massachusetts old-timey guy. He kind of looks like Danny McBride. And I don't know if that was intentional or if it was just something that I'm seeing that isn't really there. But anyway, I thought that was actually cool. But, and how that's kind of tying into what's going on here. And, okay, because now we have Hunter, we have June, and we have Zoe teamed up for their end of Wood Run. But, again, I'm wondering if what happened, that the events of the last issue are what ultimately turns, is what actually causes what happens in this issue. So, that's, that Miss Hodge and Casey kind of go tumbling through time, and now we've got, this, and now all the children effectively have disappeared. Where have they gone? We don't know. And it's pretty, again, I love this book. I love it. This is a 5 out of 5. I'm just gonna call it right there. This is a 5 out of 5. Easy. You know, and you know what the other thing about this is really great is that you can't see it too well right here. This is $2.99. It's 32 pages. And I'm sorry, where are the ads? Oh, there really aren't any. There's there's some little previews here, but the actual comic itself is 32 pages. So I mean that the next issue, 32 pages, only going to be 250. So I mean it's like put that in your pipe and smoke it, Marvel and DC. So anyway, moving along. So again, love Morning Glories, love this issue. Spencer, Eisma, they're just doing great work. The Punisher #5. If you didn't read this issue, you missed a masterclass in comic book storytelling. This is when we first saw this kid, and that it was going to be, maybe this kid was going to be somehow, like the kind of a short round kind of sidekick to, to the Punisher. It's like, I really, really, really don't want that to happen. That would be horrible. And they deal with it perfectly. I mean, Rucka deals with it perfectly. Greg Rucka he's a genius when it comes to storytelling. It's for me, from an emotional and strictly storytelling standpoint, this is probably the best single issue of the Punisher I have ever read. That's saying a lot, because Garth Ennis has done the Punisher. And so there's this, and there's the one shot that Garth Ennis did of the Punisher Max, The Cell. That was even better than this, but by a slight margin. Because we have a lot of intertwining stories here. We have the story of, we have Nora Winters, doing the Thanksgiving thing, and with, Rachel Alves or Rachel Cole, whatever she's going to go by nowadays. And that we have, Frank, who is kind of being, fleshed out as a character here, but that there's something, the kid in this comic, you feel bad. I mean, it's like I'm literally reading it right now, and I'm just looking at the final pages here, and I'm feeling sad. And, everything, as far as being a Thanksgiving comic, and, it's like people are just kind of trying to do the right thing, and we've got, Ozzie Clemens, and we've got, Walter Bolt, and they're both kind of celebrating in their own way. It's been 100 days since, the confrontation with the Vulture that left Frank pretty badly injured. And, Rachel seemed, there's just this great moment where she's doing her, physical therapy. Now that she's kind of out and about, and she is looking at, the scar that she has, kind of down the center of her chest from, the surgery and everything like that. And it's all these little tiny moments that are peppered throughout the comic, and also even the scenes with the exchange. That you've got all these kind of white collar criminals here, and then you've got like I said, all the stuff with the kid, and it's a perfect issue. This is 5 out of 5. It's absolutely perfect. I cannot say more good things about this issue. It's masterful. I hope that Rucka can really keep this up. And ultimately, though, my pick of the week has got to be Severed, #4. First of all, take a look at this. Take a look at this cover. That's horrifying. And that's what this book is. This is unadulterated, pure, undiluted horror. And it's not slasher horror, and it's not gory horror. It's horror. It tingles up your spine while you're reading it. You're feeling scared. You're emotionally invested and involved in the characters, and you're getting afraid for them. And it's just absolutely I don't know. I mean, I don't know how else I can put this. Scott Snyder and Scott Tuft, who did this, who wrote this together, put together a flawless book. And I cannot stress how fucking creepy this book is. It literally does send shivers down your spine. It makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up while you're reading it. Now, if being a creator, I can't imagine someone doing a horror comic is hard enough, but doing one that's this effective, where you feel like, okay, I feel like I'm there. That's even harder. That's almost impossible. And Snyder and Tuft do it. And, we've got, Attila Futaki's doing the art, and the art is, again, this cover. Just this cover is fantastic. And, each kind of, as they kind of preview more covers, and, we have this horrifying, villain who still, is, it's the salesman is basically what he's called now. But we've got, this relationship between the young Jack and with Samantha, and it's developing, and it's budding into this very sweet, young romance. And so I did have to read, when they do kiss in the comic, I did have to kind of go back to the beginning and see the little description that they had of what's gone on before, because I want to see, okay, how old is Jack supposed to be again? He's 12. Okay, he's old enough to kiss a girl. But there's, there's something so believable about this whole series, and that's what works. The fact that they've put it in this very kind of, a bright and yet really dark time in American history, kind of post World War I, things are still being built up. We're still at, in the midst of this, kind of, the robber baron era, era. I said error. Robber baron era, and the building up of these great buildings, and the expansion of these cities, and yet there are so many people that are without work, and you've got this young boy. All he wants to do is to be with his father. He wants to see his father. He wants this ideal of him to be true, but yet there is this horrible villain out there. There's a moment in this book where I actually wanted to reach through the page to stop the salesman. I'm not going to give, if you haven't read this, I'm not going to give anything away. But I actually wanted to reach through the page and grab him and pull him away from his intended victim, or from his victim. It really affected me greatly, and that's where you can tell the mark of a great book, and that's what Severed is. It's a great book. So that's it for this week's New Comics Bitches. Again, at Donnelly92274 on Twitter, James Donnelly on Facebook. This is the Shadow Gallery. Good evening. We're gone. See you next time.